the silence of outer space, and like the cry of a newborn babe, a tiny voice is heard from the vastness of space, 560 miles above the earth. A lonely and mysterious cry that forever separates the old from the new. A sound that marks the birth of a new era for mankind.
Millions of seemingly random events have occurred in our lives over the last few days, ending up with all of us in this room at this time, in this place, in this space. With you there in the dark, watching me here in the light. Just the way I like it. Understand why or how or who or what is going to happen. But I do know one thing. I know that something is going to happen when? Tonight. I got a feeling that tonight is going to be the night. I got a feeling that tonight I'm going to get it right. I got a feeling that tonight will be like it should tonight. I got a feeling that tonight I will be good tonight. I got a feeling that tonight we'll be free and you'll be you and I'll be me and we'll all be happy. I got a feeling that tonight we're gonna grow, we're gonna care, we're gonna share. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen tonight. Tonight I'll be at my best tonight. I got a feeling that Cindy will be my special guest tonight. I got a feeling that tonight we will start late tonight. But I got a feeling that tonight I will be great tonight. I got a feeling that tonight I might go absolutely crazy, maybe jump up on stage and take off all of my clothes. I got a feeling that tonight I'm gonna thrive, we'll be alive. Who knows what's gonna happen? But I know something's gonna happen tonight. 27 more verses. I got a feeling that tonight I will begin tonight. I got a feeling that tonight we'll start again tonight. I got a feeling that tonight I'll bet a fin tonight. I got a feeling that tonight I'm gonna win tonight. I got a feeling that tonight Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart could walk into the room and we'd find him a seat and he'd have a real good time. And he'd say, Rusty, you're doing a hell of a good job, but he'd be speaking in some obscure old dialect of German and I wouldn't understand him. Tonight. I have a feeling I've been given a great gift tonight. I have been given the power to uplift tonight. Just give me 80 minutes of control tonight. And in that time, I hope to touch your soul tonight. I don't profess to understand all the subtle machinations which control the universe. I only know there's a lot of cold and rainy wet places out there, and it'll be a hell of a lot worse. So let's all have a good time here tonight. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and welcome here to me and Rusty Magee. For the next 80 minutes or so, we'll go down some pathways that we maybe haven't been down before. We're going to look forward into the future, but mainly we're going to look backward. Because that's the type of person I am, consumed, truly consumed by nostalgia. Nostalgia, which has become a cottage industry in the last few years. I'm already feeling kind of melancholy about the early 90s. I have eyes in the back of my head. I think of today as the last day of the first part of my life. It's so easy to look back because, especially at this year-end time when we all assess, and this beginning of a new year, we all assess the past year and what it's been like and what it's all been about. So, speaking of the last year, there was a wonderful television show that happened last year that got canceled before the year was over. And I thought it would be fun to start the show if I played the theme song from this recently canceled television show and see if you can guess it. Here we go. Does anybody remember this theme to a recently canceled television show? Anybody remember that one? How soon we forget? Come on. War in the Gulf. War in the Gulf. Every night, every day, CNN. We're the best with a blitzer from the Pentagon. We're the studs. They won't tell us, but keep watching every night, every day. Stay at home, quit your job, leave your wife, never stop watching. War in the Gulf. War in the Gulf. For 2 months there in early January and February. Every time I heard that theme, I half expected the Cowardly Lion to come out going, oh, we, I'm surprised nobody guessed George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree! I was staying at a hotel doing comedy when the war broke out. I was down in New Jersey. I was staying in a hotel that didn't get CNN on the local satellite feed, so I had to get as much information as I could about the war from the Disney Channel. Mickey singing, when you wish upon a scud, better pray that it's a dud. But last year was really the year where there were these major events that just became kind of cult, celebrity, media things that were happening. And I thought, master parodist that I am, I would share some of the, well, actually the 3 most important events of last year that kind of just consumed all of our time and space. First of all, let's go down south. Sitting on my Palm Beach estate, about time to go out, I can't wait. Uncle Ted and me at a bar, meet a foxy girl, ask for a ride in her car. Now I'm just sitting wanting sex on the beach, but she's just out of reach. I might turn from Jekyll to Hyde to get inside. I'm on vacation from med school, I'm just looking for a little quick tale. But when I pounce, she turns psycho, and now she wants to put me in jail. Just 'cause I was sitting wanting sex on the lawn. But her resistance is mighty strong. I might have to tackle her to get inside. Looks like nothing's ever gonna change. I still got the mystique of the Kennedy name. We can rape, rob, and even murder, you see, 'cause we're America's royalty. Sitting here resting my bones, we're during sex? Mace. Meanwhile, half a world away, events change daily. I have to rewrite this parody daily. Look out, Gorby. It's not over yet. You have lost the Supreme Soviet. Yeltsin made a deal, now he's a bigger wheel. Better learn how to grovel. No more laughing, hail and hearty, 'cause there's no more Communist Party. Let Yeltsin have his way, or too long you won't stay. Don't be stupid, Mikhail, be a smarty. Gorby wonders, oh, why me? I should have stayed in the Crimea. But the coup had failed and all the leaders were jailed. Still, Gorby, I would not want to be Hey, Gorby, I'll see ya. Now we have the Commonwealth instead of the Soviet. 12 different states to learn, 12 different countries for us to export products into. I'm sure by this spring, before Mr. Carson leaves his show, they'll be piping it in on the satellite over to the Soviet Union and in all of the states of the new Commonwealth. I can just hear Ed McMahon saying, "Here's Azerbaijan." Stop, please. No, I can't. And finally, with apologies to Mr. Bernstein, Anita's gonna testify tonight. She'll say that Clarence Thomas lied tonight. He says it wasn't such a big deal. He'll wonder why Anita decided to squeal. The Senate's gonna hear it all tonight. They'll crowd into the Senate hall tonight. She says it was harassment, that's fine, but now it's Clarence Thomas's ass on the line. Tonight, Teddy will drink tonight. A Kennedy judging women's rights, nothing sillier. Tonight, at video stores tonight, you won't find any copies of Long Dumb Silver. Today, Anita talked for hours, and now the Senate powers must size up who is right. His wife is white, and only she can size up the judge tonight. Thank you. No, it's weird making jokes about people because so many people have their attitudes, and you don't want to insult anybody, to make a joke about a black Supreme Court judge and his white wife. That's treading the line a little bit. Because in these days, the two most important words to always remember, especially in this city, is being politically correct. I mean, you have to be very careful what you say about the handicapped, what you say about people's religious persuasions, what you say about people's professions. Call Reverend Sharpton a fat buffoon in a jogging suit, or an important member of the religious community. It's difficult, and I sometimes get in trouble because I talk a lot. And I have a little son now who's nearing 2 years old. He's just learning how to talk, and I'm trying to teach him the right things to say and the right way to address people. So I wrote him this little song that I sometimes sing to him when he's going to sleep at night. I'd like to share it with you now. It's hard to be politically correct these days. It's hard to know the right things to say. Instead of blind, you are visually challenged. Instead of mute, you are vocally challenged. Instead of bald, you are follicularly challenged. Instead of ugly, you're aesthetically challenged. Instead of dead, you're metabolically disabled. It's hard to have a job that's politically correct these days. It's hard to know the right place to work. A dairy is where cows are violated, and a ranch is where cattle are slaughtered, and an egg farm is where hens are sodomized, and fishing is raping the ocean, and farming is exploiting Mother Earth, and a biology department is where animals are tortured and then murdered to fulfill sadistic fantasies of white male scientists, lackeys of imperialist drug companies. It's hard to be politically correct these days. It's hard to know the right things to say. A black is an African American, Oriental is Asian American, and a dishwasher is a sanitation engineer, and a psychopath is socially misaligned, and a white man like me is a melanin-impoverished, genetically dysfunctional oppressor. And a paper bag is a processed tree carcass. And a rude, obnoxious person who insists on using labels which obscure the very issues which are really more important is politically correct. Of course, as a musician, I know in order to be politically correct, I can always refer back to the most politically correct musician of all time. And I'm talking, of course, about Mr. Bob Dylan. And I have a very special folio of his music that I always carry around with me. And I wanted to share this with you right now. It's a collection of Bob Dylan hits, playable with 3 magical chords. And I'd like to read you a little bit from the foreword. The things which Dylan the poet says have never been said quite this way before. Likewise, the songs by means of which he sings his message are of a style like no other. And yet, despite the uniqueness of his artistic output, he has achieved his biggest success with songs so basic in their construction as to be understandable by music lovers of all classes and playable by performers with all degrees of skill. And it goes on to show you how to finger these chords on the guitar, or on the ukulele, or if you happen to be the little boy from Deliverance, it shows you how to play these chords. But I put it to the test, and I learned those 3 magic chords for the piano, and I thought I'd try some Bob Dylan tunes. Come gather round people wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, except that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. It ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for, babe. It's kind of like the polka hits of Bob Dylan. Playable with 3 magical chords. Take me on a trip upon your magic swirling ship. Yeah, my senses have been stripped, and my hands can't feel to grip, and my toes too numb to step. Wait only for my boot heels to be wandering. I'm ready to go anywhere. I'm ready for to fade into your own parade. Cast your dancing spell my way. I promise to go under it. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. And I'm not sleepy and there ain't no Chords. Well, you're traveling down the road with Rusty. He's telling you a little bit about his life, where it all started. Started about 600 miles west of here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the town I grew up in. And when I was 5 years old, I'm so grateful that my parents bought me a piano and started me playing piano lessons. And I worked very hard. But I often thought about my life, and what if it had turned out a little bit different? What if I hadn't grown up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but rather had grown up in Hollywood, California? And maybe when I was a freckle-faced 7-year-old kid, some Hollywood talent scout would come and discover me and form an entire situation comedy about my life. It would be called something like, well, it would feature the wacky musical misadventures of Little Rusty, and it'd be called something like, When Rusty Was Young. So let's see an imaginary episode. Let's start with the theme song. With a turned-up nose and a freckly face, he gets in trouble all over the place. That wacky Rusty, when Rusty was young. Ruddy of complexion, an impish grin, a Kirk Douglas dimple right on his chin. Rusty, 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 the musical adventures of Rusty. When Rusty was young.
Rusty, just about your age. His mother wanted him to be a musician, and once a week she would take him to Miss Spear, the piano teacher, to study. Every day at home, Rusty would have to sit at the piano and practice the scales. After a while, Rusty grew very tired of playing the same thing over and over again, until one day...
The scales, they're no fun. I could play a real piece maybe, but just play those scales. I don't think I like this old piano anyway. Mom isn't home, so I'll just sit in this big old chair. She'll think I've been practicing all the time. Anyway, I'm sleepy. I can have a good rest. This is more like it.
Rusty, wake up.
Oh, where am I?
You're in Orchestraville.
Orchestraville? What is that?
Orchestraville is where all the instruments live. Violins, trumpets, drums, all the musical instruments, even your friend the piano.
The piano is no friend of mine. I don't like the piano.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Rusty. After all, some of my best friends are pianos.
Who are you anyway?
I'm the conductor of Orchestraville. I rule over all the instruments. Would you like to meet some of them?
There's the trumpet now. Look how bright and shiny he is. I want to play him.
What would you like to do? Puppy's favorite, the Carnival of Venice.
Phew.
Getting
I'm a little out of breath.
well. I'll be back in a while and listen to all of Orchestraville play at once.
All at once?
Yes, Rusty. That's called an orchestra, when a lot of instruments play together. They're tuning up now. Hear them? I'm going to lead them. So let's hurry over. We're going to play the Andante from Haydn's Surprise Symphony.
What?
Quiet, everyone. Quiet. see if Peter the piano will meet you. You see, he's so proud. Because he comes from a very old and aristocratic family, descendants of Mr. Harpsichord. You haven't been very polite to him, but I'll tell him you're sorry. Then perhaps he'll want to meet you. Well, Rusty, here's Peter the piano.
I'm sorry I hit you and wouldn't practice.
That's all right, Rusty. I forgive you.
And now can I play you a real piece? Not just those old scales.
Remember, you have to practice scales before you can play the piano well. But since we're going to the mill where anyone can play without practicing, try playing the piano's favorite, the Minute Waltz by Chopin.
I will. Practicing. Oh, yes, Mother. I'll practice. I'll practice hard. I'm going to be a great musician.
Well, you've certainly changed. I don't know what's gotten into that boy. Sometimes I think I'll never understand children.
I'm really going to practice now so that I can play for real. And when I've practiced for a long time, the first piece I'm going to play will be Chopin's Minute Waltz. That one I played in Orchestraville.
Every summer after 5th grade, after 6th grade, after 7th grade, and after 8th grade, every summer my parents took me to Europe. And I was so grateful that they did that because they opened up a very wonderful horizon to me because I had never studied languages in school. But every summer we would go to France. And I learned a love of the French language, la langue française. Because when I was over there, I was 10 years old, I buy a dictionary and I start translating things. Everything I could get my hands on. Subway posters, comic books. I started translating American songs into French. I took Neil Diamond's I Am, I Said and translated it into French. It became Je suis jeudi. And then I translated it back into English and it was I Am Thursday. But I really did love the French language, and I discovered French music, la musique française. And I found this wonderful composer, singer, songwriter, and I translated his entire album. I really loved him. I thought he was better than Jacques Brel or Yves Montand or any of the French singers who are known in the United States. This guy is virtually unknown. But when I was 10 years old, I translated this song, and I wanted to share with you my translation of this wonderful French chanson. He has sold over 4 billion records in Liechtenstein alone. And now Rusty Magee, et maintenant Rusty Magee, translates the great French chanson. I don't dream anymore. I don't smoke anymore. I don't have any more stories. I'm dirty without you. I'm ugly without you. I'm like an orphan in a dormitory. I no longer have any desire to live my life. My life ends when you leave. I no longer have a life, and even my bed turns into a railroad station when you leave. I'm sick, completely sick. Like when my mother would go out at night and she would leave me alone with my despair. I'm sick. Perfectly sick. You arrive, I never know when. You go out, I never know where. And that'll make almost 2 years that you don't give a shit about me. Like to a rock, like to a sin, I'm leaning against you. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. To pretend to be happy when they are here, I drink every night. But every whiskey, for me, has the same taste. And every boat carries your flag. I don't know where to go anymore. You are everywhere, and I am sick. Completely sick. I spill my blood on your body, and I am like a dead bird when you are asleep. I'm sick. Perfectly sick. You've taken away all my songs. You've emptied me of all my words. However, I did have some talent before your skin. This glove is killing me. If it continues, I'll blow out alone with myself next to my radio like a stupid little kid listening to my own voice, which will sing I'm sick. Completely sick. Like when my mother would go out at night and she would leave me all alone with my despair. I'm sick. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket. I'm sick. You've taken away all my songs. You've emptied me of all my words, and now I have a heart complete. I'm all sick. Break down all of the barricades because I'm not feeling very good. Merci. That was an excerpt from the 1973 record by a gentleman named Serge Lama called Je suis malade. I understand Monsieur Lama is still sick, but he's feeling a little bit better. When I was looking at this, I changed my thing over here. I looked at this record and I realized, I came to the realization that in addition to Dr. Seuss, as Cindy mentioned, a dear friend of all of ours died this year. And the death went virtually uneulogized. So I thought I would take this time in the show to pay my respects to a dear old friend of all of ours. Hold on 1 second. Let's say goodbye to a friend that we love. Raise your glasses high and mourn the death of The album, the record album, the 33 1/3 long playing album. Has it really come to pass? Can the album really be dead? I'm afraid so, folks. It means a lot to me because, well, hell, I was born just about the same year the album started to take off. It was 1955. Rock and roll was on everybody's mind. We were sick and tired of clunky old 78 RPM discs made of lacquer or varnish. Who knows what they were made of? They were old. They were unwieldy. We wanted something new, more technological. We wanted high fidelity, hi-fi. And we got it in the form of a 33 1/3 diamond stylus, dynagroove, long-playing record album, the LP for short. 12 inches of hot wax or vinyl, whatever it was made of, it was cool. 12 inches by 12 inches, 1 square foot of music. When I was in college, if I needed to measure the floor of my room for a rug or something, I used to lay albums on the floor. I knew each one was 1 square foot. The album, to our parents, they were a novelty. To today's youth, they're a non-entity. But to us, they were a necessity. They started out in the 1950s as soundtrack recordings, jazz pressings, compilations of rock and roll singles. But our albums grew up just like we did. And by the 1960s, your albums made a personal statement about yourself. Owning a copy of Cream's Disraeli Gears said something about you. A much different statement than if you owned, say, the latest Partridge Family record. And for me and millions of other teenage music connoisseurs, we had a ritual of going into the record stores, spending hours of time browsing, wondering whether to blow our $4.98 hard-earned cents on Led Zeppelin II or the new Procol Harum. But once we made our purchase and got home, the real rapturous ritual would begin. First, there was the shrink wrap, the tightly wrapped plastic around the record, which was usually impossible to get off with a knife or an X-Acto blade or a Gillette safety razor. So you'd end up scraping your fingernails along the side of the album, causing blood to spurt from underneath your fingernails. And then there was one of the great questions of the mid to late 20th century. Do you leave the shrink wrap on a record or take it off? You leave it on, it'll protect the cover of the album if you lay a drink on it, but there are those who swear that if you leave it on, it will warp your record. I broke up with 2 different girlfriends in college alone over this argument. How many people would leave the shrink wrap on? Let me see hands, bloody fingernails. How many people would take it off? Yeah, a few more. I was a lever-oner. Although over the years, the shrink wrap came off of most of my records, either out of deference to a living companion or sometimes just out of sheer boredom. When you got the record open, you were bombarded by the sensations of the purchase. First, the smell of polyvinyl chloride. Better than the smell of vanilla or gasoline or mimeograph paper. The touch, the tactile sense of the album. Many would salivate in Pavlovian response at the sheer joy of the purchase. And then the ritual would continue, and I don't care if you owned a $1,500 stereo Harman Kardon or KLH component system, or just a tinny speakered record player with a picture of Felix the Cat on the tone arm. You'd follow the same ritual. You'd dust off the record, blow the dust off the needle, and you'd put the record down and you'd play it and listen. And while you listened, you'd greedily look at your record album, the same way you greedily devoured a bowl of Lucky Charms for breakfast earlier that morning. I should write for the Wonder Years. The record album, the perfect dimensions for album art, unlike the puny cassette. Or the expensive CD. We didn't have music video back then, so sometimes all the information we could get about our rock and roll heroes was from these albums. Perfect canvas for psychedelic art, exhaustive liner notes for jazz enthusiasts, or maybe just clues as to whether Paul was dead or not. And you listened to your albums differently back then. They were perfect tools for obsessive, psychotic, schizophrenic behavior. You could mechanically rig it up to play one side of a record over and over. I listened to side 2 of Joni Mitchell's Blue 57 times in a row in July and August of 1974. And then there was the true homage to Excess, the double album, like the Beatles' White Album or Tommy by the Who. And then Woodstock was a triple album. But one of the best uses for double albums was separating the herb from the seed. Hey, maybe there's a seed in here. You could use a fold-out album for that as well, like the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper or Crosby, Stills and Nash. But one thing about double albums and fold-out albums, you had to take the shrink wrap off of them. And sure, when you listen to your albums, there was surface noise, there were scratches. But every scratch told a story. And our records bore the scars of love. The sound of a needle scratching on a record was the epitome of our generation. If it wasn't our song, we didn't want to listen to it, let alone sing along with it. But now the fickle will of the public have demanded a new technology, not to mention the greedy record executives. And we've gotten it in the form of the aforementioned cassette, you know, like to take to the beach, and the expensive CD, you know, for my BMW. I can't listen to a record in my Beamer. The CD, the perfect yuppie toy, little, sterile, and expensive. What do they call that classic Beatles album now? The white CD? All I'm asking is that we remember our heritage. Let us cling to our albums like decaying frescoes in Italian museums. Let us cherish them and our past. I celebrated a birthday of sorts a while back. The planet had spun around the sun 33 times and 4 months with me on it. My 33 and a third birthday. And on my 33 and a third, I remember the 33 and a third. The LP. The album. You go into record stores now, they don't have records anymore, just CDs, cassettes, and posters of Guns N' Roses. Goodbye, old friend. The album. Good night, you moonlight ladies. And rockabye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues are the colors that I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams? Have you heard it on CD? It sounds wonderful. And a rockabye, sweet baby Jane. I'll always be faithful to high fidelity. Before you go out and spend all your money on compact discs, just remember what happened to 8-track. Thanks a lot, everybody. Let's have a big party when I turn 45. I know it's a little late in the season. You know, it wouldn't seem like the old Yuletide spirit was around here if old Brother Ray didn't sing some songs of holiday cheer. It came upon a midnight clear. I didn't see it, but they said it was. That glorious song of old, et este fidelis, leti triumphante venite. I'm talking about venite. I'm talking about Bethlehem. Have I forgotten my Hebrew brethren? I think I have. Hava nagila, venis meha. Ooh, roo, akim, urakim, alesamea, urakim. A lot of people people don't know, but Uru Hakim was a basketball player for the New York Knicks. Hit the road, Santa, and don't you come back no more, no more, no. What did I say? Hit the road, Santa, and don't you come back no more. What I say? Come, they told me, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, you know I like my eggnog with a little more rum. What did I say? Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. The Santa can't make it 'cause he's got a flat tire. Oh, what did I say? Dreidel, dreidel, made out of clay. Santa didn't shop for me at Bloomie's today. Oh, what did I say? It wouldn't seem like real Christmas if we didn't indulge in a little crass commercialism, so I guess it's time for me to sell a little bit of my soda here. I chose this soda in a blind taste test. Well, unfortunately, I chose the wrong one. You know when it's wrong. You know when you taste it. You sip it. You spit it out. You hate it. It's wrong. You got the wrong one, baby. That Pepsi. You know when it's wrong. You know when you taste it. That Pepsi. Yeah, it's that morally reprehensible and thoroughly undrinkable and absolutely unsippable. You got the wrong one, baby. But the holidays are a religious time, and I know I have my religion. I have my Bible. I got it right here. It's called Top Pop Singles, 1955 to 1986. Lists every hit single for those 31-year period. And I thought it would be fun if I did a little medley of all of them. In a little thing I like to call hell. Go from ABBA to ZZ Top. No, but I refer to this. It's my constant companion because I like to sing the old hit songs and look at all the current pop stars. Oh, I turn right to page 268. Born William Martin Joel on May 9th, 1949. The piano man from Long Island, Mr. Billy Joel. They say that these are not the best of times, but I made 4.2 million last year. You see, America wants a piano man, and Elton lost the job because he's queer. Not politically correct, I know. Oh, you got nothing on me. My wife's Christy Brinkley. I'll say life's really hard. Oh, Christy's easy to please. I come up to her knee. She wants my MasterCard. I wore out my turntable listening to this gentleman's album, Tea for the Tillerman by Cat Stevens. Now that I love everything to you, and it make my heart your leaf, man, and they are free. A lot of people don't know, but Cat Stevens recorded in a refrigerated studio. Turn up the goddamn fucking heat. Before an icicle go off, I know. I went back and I listened to the lyrics on Tea for the Tillerman. I couldn't believe some of them. There's a song called Longer Boats. Mary drops her pants by the sand and lets a parson come and take her hand. But the soul of nobody knows where her parson go. Oh, what the fuck was he talking about? Cat Stevens, the greatest thing he ever did, he taught Barry Gibb, the lead singer of the Bee Gees, how to sing. How can you make a Please help me, man, It's like the lighthouse. School. Every 7 seconds, the voice comes around. I'm going back to my life. They have the songs of Paul Simon, divided into 3 different categories. The 1960s. I'm so damn depressed. I'm so damn depressed. I'm so goddamn depressed. The 1970s. Still crazy after all these years of being depressed. And then the 1980s. Why deny the obvious ethnic ripoff? What ethnic group can I rip off now? Why deny... My voice is a little tired tonight. Actually, they have a word for it in the trade. It's called a damaged voice. And one of the great singers of all time has probably the most wonderful damaged voice of all of them. You are so pitiful to me. Can't you see? You're everything I hope for. Everything I need. You are so beautiful. And I've heard Joe Cocker sing this song 700 times on the radio, and every time I say to myself, come on, Joe, you can do it, you can hit that last note, I know you can. Sure enough, it comes out sounding... Ah, Joe, you fucking blew it again. So a little stroll down top pop singles with Uncle Rusty. I am a serious songwriter as well as a master parodist. Put this song, put this hat on the piano and sing this song about this wonderful city and about my past. It's kind of about my O-Bar days. It's a New York romance, it's a casual romance, and it happens every day. It's a promise to phone, it's a promise you can't keep, it's a promise not to stay. It's a meaningful glance in an unfamiliar place. It's a lover whom you've lived with till you couldn't stand his face. It's a disappointing dinner. It's a charitable chase. It's a New York romance. It's an East Side romance or a West Side romance, and it's played out after dark. It's a kiss on Broadway or a smile on Bleecker or a blowout in the park. It's a fight on 47th Street, you let her run away. It's him turning up so drunk and stoned you pray that he don't stay. It's a never-ending argument, it's the only matinee. It's a New York romance. It's a stifling romance, it's a romance of the street. It's a he said romance or an I meant romance, it depends on who you meet. It's a subway door that closes and you only see the pain, or a bagel at Grand Central while you're waiting for her train. It's a crosstown connection, it's a taxi in the rain. It's a New York romance. It's all the times you thought that you were going, but But you didn't go, you stayed. It's all the times you thought that you were making love when you were getting laid. But it's a New York romance, it's a ringside romance, it's a terrible surprise. It's a desperate romance, it's a last-ditch romance telling hopeful little lies. It's the girl you thought might be Miss Right till you find out she's a whore. Or the guy who said he'd stay all night, he's halfway out the door. It's a great big apple you're afraid is rotten at the core, taking so much shit from lovers that they're not friends anymore. It's a wanting to be far away on some distant shore. It's a careful desperation. It's not caring anymore. But it's a New York romance. Right now, I'd like to do my bitter one. No, I wrote that song in a period of my life where I was very depressed and upset and lonely. It was called the 1980s. No, seriously, I have been married for more than a half a dozen years now to a wonderful, wonderful woman who is a very talented and wonderful singer, and we make beautiful music together. Which is great for me because there was a time in my life when I didn't have anybody to sing with. When I was growing up in Michigan, I had 3 brothers. None of them were very musical. I had to sing by myself. Had a friend who was a guitar player, not much of a singer though, so. But happily, through the miracle of modern technology, right now, we'd like to pay tribute to the wonderful harmonies of the Fab Four. Yes, a medley of the songs of John, Paul, George, and Ringo. So please enjoy Rusty on Tape and Rusty Live and the harmonies of the Beatles. I don't like you, but I love you. Seems that I'm always thinking of you. Oh, you treat me badly. I love you madly. You really got a hold on me. Really got a hold on. You really got a hold on me. Baby, I love you, and all I want you to do is just to hold me, please. Hold me, squeeze, hold me, hold me. Hey, Rusty, why don't I sing the harmony on this next one? No, just keep singing the melody like you always do. But you always get to do the high harmony. Yeah, well, that's because I'm a real person. You're just a tape. Just a tape? Rusty, we are one and the same person. I mean, as John Lennon wrote, I am he as you are he, as you are me, and we are all together. Yeah, right. I am the walrus. Fine. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. Just sing the melody. Fine. If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me understand? 'Cause I've been in love before and I found that love was more than just holding hands. If I gave my heart to you, I must be sure from the very start that you would love me more than her. 'Cause I couldn't stand the pain, and I would be sad if our new I'm sorry, the tape sounds terrible. Was in vain. You don't sound so good yourself. Oh, you'll see that too if I fell in love with you.
You see, Rusty, I control this entire medley. I'm in charge, not you.
Oh, you think you're in charge?
Absolutely.
Well, I guess you wouldn't mind if I stopped the tape.
Stop the tape.
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
could do that.
No, wait, Rusty.
Yeah, sure.
You can't do that.
Gina,
I'll be good. I
you
promise.
could,
Please,
hit the-
please don't
hit the
stop
stop-
me. Please
hit the
don't,
stop button
don't,
on the,
don't,
on the tape, please.
don't.
Well, I guess we know who's in charge. Would you like to finish the medley? I'll take your silence as a yes.
I'm sorry, Rusty. I didn't mean to misbehave. I'll be good from now on. 1,
2,
3,
4.
I've just seen her face, I can't forget the time or place that we just met. She's just the girl for me, and I want all the world to see we've met. Na 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 na. Had it been another day, I might have looked the other way, and I'd have never been aware. But as it is, I'll dream of her tonight. Na 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 na. Falling, yes I am falling, and she keeps calling me back again.
Acapella now.
I have never known the likes of this. I've been alone and I have missed things and kept out of sight. For other girls were never quite like this. Na 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 na. Falling, yes I am falling, and she keeps calling me back again. Everybody falling, yes I am falling, and she keeps calling me back again. Na 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 na. Thank you, Rusty.
Thank you, Rusty.
And thank you.
You're in this business long enough, and you have your own signature song. Sinatra, New York, New York. Bobby Darin, Mac the Knife. The Beastie Boys, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. But I think this is always gonna be mine. I think for the next 4 hours I'm going to play nothing but reggae music. Reggae music. You may wonder why reggae means so much to an Irish boy like me. When I was born, my mother gave me the unforgettable name of Rasta Magee. And when I wake up in the morning, you know I like to turn on my reggae TV. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jenny. Poor mountaineer barely kept his family dreaded. Then one day he was shooting as a fool. 3-hour tour. Someone built a store just for me. Food Emporium, Food Emporium. Someone has my kind of quality. Food Emporium, Food Emporium. Be all that you can be. Find your future with Rasta Magee. Tonight at Alice's I feel like I'm where it's at. Because tonight I am wearing my Jiffy Pop hat. And in case you were wondering who it might be, who is the me? Who is the me in me and Rusty Magee? Well, it is me. I am the me, the me, the me and me and Rusty Magee. Reggae! is an illusion. You guys have really made me happy tonight. I just can't tell you. Fill my heart with joy. Thought I'd quote from one more in the Top Pop book here. Born on August 31st, 1945 in Belfast, Ireland. Blue-eyed soul singer, songwriter, leader of the group Them. Wrote the classic hit Gloria. He wrote a few others too. Half a mile from the cannonball, and the rain came pouring down. Me and Billy standing there with a suitcase half a crown. Whoa, the water, whoa, the water. I hope it don't rain all day. And it stoned me to my soul, and a stone won't me. Stone me just like Jelly Roll, and a stone won't me. I can hear her heartbeat for 1,000 miles. She give me love, 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 love. She give me crazy love. She give me love, love, crazy love. Oh, Domino. Oh, white Romeo. I said, oh, Domino, pick up, up. She's as sweet as Tupelo honey. She's an angel of the first degree. Well, she's an angel. She's alright, she's alright, she's alright. She's as sweet as Tupelo honey. Just like honey, baby, from a bee. I wonder where Van Morrison is tonight. Maybe he's back at a pub in Belfast, Ireland, singing old Rusty Magee songs. Laughing and a running, hey, hey, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog. Oh, my heart was thumping with you, my brown-eyed girl. Van Morrison sang about a brown-eyed girl, having someone special you can hold on tight. Maybe someone you can wake up in the middle of the night. But it doesn't matter if she was a brown-eyed girl. She could even be a blue-eyed girl. She could even be a cyclops. That was not the important thing. You were on my mind, my one-eyed girl. I'm not so sure. I hope everybody here tonight has a brown-eyed girl or a brown-eyed handsome man that they can hold on to. Maybe you don't, maybe you just have a special toy. That's all right too. It's a wonderful night for a moon dance, for a moon dance, for a moon dance, for a moon dance. I used to have an acting teacher in college. Whenever I worked on an improvisational scene in class, he used to say, "Rusty, find a way to end it." I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen tonight. Thanks, everyone. Thank you to Cindy Kaplan. And to the staff of Alice's, David Smith on the lights, Regina on sound, the wonderful lights, and everyone, thank you. Thanks a lot. Good night.